new WCEG Network on WCEGTalkRadio.com. Once you get to the website, please click our live stream tab at the top right corner, or you can watch us live on your smart TV on YouTube. Once you get to YouTube, please search WCEG Network. I am Vincent Cheeks, your show host of Conversations in Education. For the next 1 hour, we are the Worldwide Community Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and on Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio and at WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show host and guest and not that of WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. And with that being said, it is time for another hashtag casual conversation with another wonderful guest of mine. He's one of Atlanta's most talented and longest tenured artists here in the Atlanta metro area. He goes by the name of Mr. Kenneth Green, or AKA Mr. Kenny. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Yes. Please make sure your phone is on silent if you have not done so. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Before we get started with the interview, Mr. Green, I have a couple of announcements to make. I just wanted to, our show is about educating people, whether it's regular education or it's educating people about what you do in the community, Mr. Green. But I wanted to shout out all of the teachers right now who are out there having to deal with the COVID and, working in those conditions. I've read about a teacher dying in DeKalb. I read about a teacher dying in Gwinnett and in Marietta, I believe. And so, teachers are literally frontline workers and they're putting their life on the line to educate our children. And so I just wanted to take a time out to commend them for that and to shout them out because, there's no reason teachers should have to protest holding up signs saying we want to live and I just wrote my will and things of that nature. So I just pray for everybody that that's dealing with this COVID still and having to go to work in and all of that stuff. So and on the back of that, I want to commend the students also because they're getting through their first full year of virtual learning, and just from my experience with virtual, I can tell you I don't like it and I'm tired of it. So as a teenager, a young adult, whatever, elementary school student, I can only imagine how they might be feeling. And then I read an article the other day that said, some students are not dealing well with COVID, with being away from their friends and not being able to do the things that they need to do. And there's still some, I read something about, they're still committing suicide because they're dealing with depression and things like that. So parents, make sure you're talking to your children. Teachers, make sure you're talking to the students to make sure that their mental capacity is where it needs to be because we still have a long way to go dealing with this COVID thing. And Mr. Green, could you open up your chat window in the Zoom, please?
Okay.
And one last shout out before we get started. Yeah. One last shout out before we get started, Mr. Green. I have to shout out KIP Soul Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. On Monday, I will be starting the Bright Futures Business Club with them. And it'll be a 6 or 7 week business club where I'll be teaching them how to be an entrepreneur and start their own business, either for now or if they want to retain the information for when they're an adult. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it. So KIP Soul Academy, I'm coming for you next Monday. All righty. Let's dive into this hashtag casual conversation with Mr. Kenneth Green, AKA Mr. Kenny. So I know you're involved in theatrical productions, correct?
Yes.
How did you get involved in that?
Well, my involvement in theatrical productions takes me back years and years ago as a youth when I was growing up. And I have to credit, well, first and foremost, of course, if you watch, I was the type of youth that watched a lot of television, which I still do.
Right.
And also the movies, that was a part of it as well. But I want to credit the community schools that I attended, both the elementary schools, grades
Okay.
pre-K through seventh grade, and also high school 8 through 12, because they were monumental in keeping my interest peaked. I always had a passion for it. I just enjoyed seeing plays. And when I was in school, of course, I was in some school plays, and sometimes the schools would actually uh, have field trips where we would go, maybe like to a theater or something. I
Okay.
know the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra was one of them, but that's music. But then it's still, part of the creative artistry. So
Yes.
the
Yeah.
schools
Yeah.
in my community played an important part in that. I was in the dramatics club in high school,
Okay.
and going into the other area community is the church. The churches that I attended in this community, I always participated in some type of program or
Okay.
something. And of course, with churches, you had the Christmas plays, annual Christmas plays, and the annual
Right.
Easter plays. So
Yes.
that's how I really, at a very, very, very early age, that's how I my involvement with theatrical productions started. And like I said, it was a passion. It was
Right.
already in me. So, being in these plays and in churches and in schools, it just continued to enhance it as I grew older. And the other thing I want to say is that on the same note of the church, um, from 1997 to 2013, I served as a creative artist at the Hillside Interdenominational Church on
Okay.
Cascade. I was the creative artist and youth director for the Sunday school and the youth department. And I served in two capacities. The first capacity was each month um, I was asked to present a puppet show based on what we were teaching the youth.
Okay.
And the other part of it was uh, presenting, producing, writing, and directing the annual Christmas and Easter production.
Okay. So you got a
And so,
lot
like I
of
said, that was,
you got
I'm
a lot
sorry,
of
would you say?
you got a lot of work through the church in that area.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And, that's mostly what, people, particularly in our culture, our people would say is that whether they sing or whatever, it's like a lot of that talent was vested and grew, the church. Like you hear somebody say, well, I did this because, I grew up in the church,
Right. Yeah.
so I'm just one of those as well.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty interesting. So how
Mhm.
did you get involved in the puppeteering?
Well, during now let's see. Now this is kind of twofold here, because I was employee for the Atlanta Fulton Public Library system for um, 30 years.
Okay.
And what happened was that now in the library system, each year they would have what was called their annual summer reading program.
Okay.
And the summer reading program had all kinds of activities for youth. But one thing that they did do up until the year 2000 was that there was a traveling puppet show. And
Okay.
when I first heard about it, I was in an audiovisual capacity where we had to edit the old-fashioned audio cassette tapes that were made from the show. And that's what got me interested. So I signed up, and I signed up in 97.
Okay.
And what I had to do was, and like I said, this show was annual. They did recruit volunteers. It was not only just the children and youth librarians, but anybody that wanted to participate. And so,
Okay.
like I said, I was interested. So
Mm-hmm.
I attended, and what we did during that time was, in order to prepare, um, since the summer reading program um, had a theme every year, whatever that theme was, and this was like nationwide, not wasn't just Atlanta, Georgia, but it was all over the United States. So
Right.
whatever the theme was, the librarians, youth librarians, had to adjust their schedules and their activities toward the theme. And since the
Okay.
puppet show was a part of that theme, there were some stories that were written by a group of children's librarians, and the story was written into a puppet show. And so the process was from the meetings and then writing the script, the puppet show script. Then the
Okay.
next thing was the volunteers like myself who participated. We would go into the Fulton County TV studios, which was in the library at the time where I
Okay.
worked downtown. And we would do voiceovers, just like in the cartoons and the animated cartoons, we would,
Right. Yeah.
whatever character we were assigned, then we would voice over the characters. And from there, what we would do is the shows would be handed over to the people in the TV studio. They would edit, add sound effects, music, this, that, and the other. And then the
Okay.
next step after that was to learn how to put there was this huge stage that I don't know if it's still around, but during the times that I served, there was this huge stage that we had to learn how to put together because, as I said before, the puppet show was a traveling puppet show. So it
Okay.
went to each of the Fulton County libraries here in Fulton County. And so we had to learn how to do that. I was part of that process. And I took equipment along too, since that was in my audiovisual area. And
Okay.
so I was just really adopted since our department had to support them. And the next step soon after was actually being asked to uh, to do puppeteering.
Okay.
And I found out that it was so much fun that, like I said, I was adopted into it. I was placed on the committees and everything, so I had to say so about stuff, and so that was it. And so it was really a fun experience from, like I said, from 1997 to 2000.
Right. So, okay. So you just said once you got into puppeteering, you discovered how much fun it was, and
Right.
I've kind of always been intrigued by puppeteering. So
Mm-hmm.
what makes it so fun? As an
You
adult,
know,
I mean, I know our children would like it, but as an adult, and even being the person, the puppeteer, what makes that so?
right, right. It's just an enjoyable energy. I don't know any other words
Okay.
to I don't know any other way to put it because, like you was asking me about theatrical, uh, it was a part of me. It was a passion that I had. I was just interested. Now
Okay.
everybody's not interested, but I've learned way back on that if you have a passion for something, if if that desire is inside of you, then eventually it's going to come out, and that's why work with youth is so important because we see
Yeah.
talents in them and it's like, well, okay, he looked like he's going to be a good speaker. She's going to be a good whatever, dancer or spokesperson or just something, that's positive. And you
Right.
want to
Right.
channel it in and encourage them to continue. So with me, it was always a fun aspect. I was one of the children that grew up watching the puppetry shows like if anybody out there remembers Captain Kangaroo,
Yeah.
he had some
I
puppets
remember
on that
Captain.
show, Captain Kangaroo. And
Yeah.
also there was Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop as well. So and then of
Yeah.
course Sesame Street. We've got the
Yeah.
Sesame Street
Everybody
and the
knows
Muppets.
Sesame Street. Yeah.
So even as an adult, I used to enjoy watching them, and I still do when I can. So it was just a part of me. And when I had this opportunity to join with the summer reading program, the puppetry, I just went for it and everything. So
Okay.
that was it.
Okay. So what kind of is there a specific training required to be a puppeteer?
Well, actually, now during the times that I was with the library, we did in the puppetry, we did have some training. It was kind of like in-house training because, like I said, including myself, the librarians were basically volunteers, and so
Okay.
we just had to learn how to manipulate the puppet. Um, and the other training was just, well, I told you that we went into the studio and voiced. And
Right.
some people, and like myself, I like to get into whatever the character is, I like to get into whoever they are, whatever they are, animal,
Okay.
vegetable, mineral. Everybody didn't do that, but it's what makes when you're watching the shows and the people that puppeteer, it's what makes the show so much more interesting. Is just that you're not just saying the lines or reading the lines, as the case may be. You're
Yeah.
actually in character with that, and that's what makes it fun for everybody. It has an appeal to everybody, adults and,
Okay.
and children as well.
Okay. So I just
So
heard.
my other training now, I did move on, and I think that's probably one of your questions,
Mhm.
later on. But there was some other types of training too. Now, one of the trainings I'm going to share something with the audience here
Okay.
is the different types of puppets. Now, I hope y'all can see
Ooh.
this.
Ooh, we
This
got
is
puppets. To
okay.
the
This is
to your right.
now this would be
Put it to your
considered a
right,
finger
Mr.
puppet.
Green.
All right, to my right. Okay. Let me know.
Yeah,
Okay,
there we
there we
go.
go. All
There
right,
we
okay.
go.
Just let me know.
And break it
Okay,
down,
now.
not in front of your face. There we go. Or
Okay, all right.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
cover
right
up
there.
his face.
Yeah, don't point
Okay.
that.
This is considered to be a finger puppet, and it's
Okay.
called a finger puppet just because of what I said. You can place it on your finger, wherever
Makes
that
sense.
finger is. Okay, so that's a finger puppet. Now I'm gonna
Okay.
show you
What was
something
his
else.
name? Did he have a name?
Croc.
Croc. Okay.
Croc. Yeah, we'll call him Lil Croc.
Lil
Okay,
Croc. All
now
right.
this next one I'm bringing in, I'm just showing you the different types of puppets. There are different types of puppets, and I think you mentioned marionettes earlier, and
Mhm.
so this next puppet I'm bringing up, I hope I'm holding this up correct.
Yeah,
This
there you go.
is
That's it.
this is a hand puppet. Now the
Okay.
reason it's a hand puppet is because I place my hand, kind of like a glove, and
Hmm.
you've got an area in your hand where you can move his head, and also his hands, because the
Okay.
hand puppets usually have maybe like two hands on the side or something. So
Okay.
this is and this is Grizzly Bear today. I don't know why they woke me up today. It's still winter time. It's not spring yet, is it? No.
Oh,
But
did we
anyway,
disturb his
that's what
hibernation?
I think you all did. And I want to go back to sleep,
Okay.
please. But this is an example of a hand puppet. And I just want to show y'all one more.
Okay.
And I'm gonna bring this little young lady to the phone now. Let me see. Here she comes now. She's a dancer. And this is what we call y'all can see her. This is
Yes.
what's called let me go back
To the
this
right a
way.
little bit. To the right. There we go. Yep.
Okay. My name is Katrina Ballerina, and
Oh,
I'm a
hi, Katrina.
ballerina. Hello, Mr. Cheeks. Hello, everybody out there.
Pleasure to meet you.
What's happening? And the reason it's a call of Rod the Hand Puppet is because, of course, I have, if you can, if this is picking up right,
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
um, my left hand is operating her hand, so to speak. It has a
Okay.
rod on it or a little stick,
Okay.
and of course, to make her speak, like she just did a few minutes ago, is my other hand is in my
Mhm.
these are things um I have experienced at the library and other place as well, which I think that's one of your questions that
Mhm.
is probably going to come up. But like I said, we had to in the summer reading program, we had to train in setting up the stage. And
Okay.
one thing that was unique about the summer reading program was that we didn't have to really memorize any lines. All we had to do was just, since everything was pre-recorded, we had for memory to know when, if we were assigned a puppet character or two, like
Uh-huh.
I have been, we would have to know when that puppet would come in, when our cue would be.
When your
And
cue would be
everybody's
right.
helpful. It's like it was an ensemble. So everybody, we just worked together, to make it happen.
Okay. So
Yeah,
do you make your own puppets?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Do you make your own puppets?
I don't. like,
You
we
starting
can go
to,
to
you're breaking in and out a
like
little
here
bit,
in Atlanta.
Mr.
We
Green. Mr.
oh,
Green,
okay.
your sound is breaking up a bit. Is your internet connection okay?
Okay, let me check. Let me put Katrina down and see what's going on. Let me
Katrina, did
check
you
my
do that?
connection. I don't know. I don't know.
Did Katrina
She's
do
not
that?
behaving today.
Katrina.
Okay, now how is that?
Okay, that sounds better. I'll
Okay,
let you
yeah, I
know. I'll
just
let you know if it happens again.
okay, yeah, please do. Yeah, we don't
But you were
want to.
saying,
I don't want to lose our audience here today.
right? I don't want to lose them
Uh,
either. And
I know y'all don't want to lose them. Okay.
yeah, we had one comment that somebody loved Miss Katrina the ballerina. So
Oh, good. Okay.
so I had asked you, do you make your own puppets? And you had started
Oh,
answering that question.
no, I don't. I
Okay.
purchased them, and you can get them from just about anywhere. The Goodwill and Salvation Army places have them, and you can go to
Okay.
some toy stores, and it's just wherever they may have items for children and everything, children's books or music or whatever. We do have some bookstores in the Atlanta metro area that cater to
Okay.
youth. So 9 times out of 10, they're gonna have um, puppetry as well and puppets.
Okay. And did you say one of those puppets was a marionette, or do you work with
No,
marionettes?
the marionette is actually the marionette is actually the what's called a string puppet. Now I haven't personally myself worked with them. It's a whole different thing from what I demonstrated to the audience earlier, where you
Okay.
hold your the puppeteer is behind the stage, of
Oh,
course, and it's the stick, the strings. The
right, with the
stick is
string,
like made like a cross.
like a
Okay, the
cross.
stick is
You
made like a
manipulate it.
cross,
Yeah,
and
you
you've got
manipulate
several
it.
little strings on it, but you have to know which string to pull in order to maneuver the puppet. One
Sounds
string is
difficult.
maybe for them to walk, and then another
Hmm.
for them to move their hands or whatever. But I haven't had any um, experience with those. I would like to learn at some point, but anyway, I have seen some marionette shows. Oh, and then also
Okay.
shadow puppets are. I met a gentleman during the time I was still with the library system, and he did a show doing shadow puppets, which just is what it just says. He used well, he might use his hands, or he might use some type of figure, but he was behind a backdrop, and somehow or another he would make those characters come alive. So that's
Okay.
another form of puppetry well.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So I heard you say stand in character, and I heard you mention you had to know when your cue was. Those sound like
Mhm.
acting words to me. So is
Yes.
being a
Mhm.
puppeteer like being an actor?
It sure is. Um, and see what it is. As you just mentioned, we have to. Well, as a puppeteer, now sometimes depending on I have worked with others as well. And I tell you
Okay.
who I worked with at one particular time. Puppeteering was one of our storytellers in Kuumba, Akbar Imhotep. Now he's a puppeteer as well, also
Mm-hmm.
as a storyteller. But he did some shows that I worked with some years ago. And I know there was one show in particular where we did have to memorize our lines. And
Okay.
so that's being an actor, um, because actors do their lines as well.
Right.
They have to be on cue. And
Correct.
if there are others, in the ensemble, we have to know when to come in,
Right.
everything and all that. So yes, it's the puppetry to me is has the similarity. It is acting, because
Okay.
you're being in character and
It
everything.
sounded
So
like it to
that's
me.
yes, very much so.
Okay.
And only if as I said earlier, if you're in an ensemble where your material is pre-recorded, then the only thing, and even with that, the pre-recording is like a script. but it's just, coming from a player or something, a machine of some
Okay.
type. And you
Okay.
have to, that's why we have to study, just like the actors and actresses have to study their scripts and their lines on
Right.
paper. um, we will have to listen to that particular soundtrack of the show so that we would know what to do when we came in, even though it was still going to be played. But
Right.
it's here in your head now, since you studied it. So yeah, the acting and the puppetry, they have some very big similarities. Very.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like it takes a lot of coordination
Yes, it does.
amongst
Yeah. And
different people.
also
Yeah.
physical strength and dexterity too, because we worked with some puppets. I remember before the library show ended in 2000, we did a show about a dinosaur. Now, whoever created that puppet, I mean, the dinosaur was a huge, I mean, it had like a huge head on him and everything. And the tail was the separate part. It was like on a stick, but the head was the one that was like, okay, you got to do some straight. It was just like warming up before working out or something, because that dinosaur's head is really something. So
Yeah.
it is a lot of work. You're moving about. Sometimes in the ensemble of puppetry, you may have to switch places with another person or something.
Okay.
And you have to understand that in puppetry, in order for your audience, especially if you performing for children, but it's for all audiences as well, you want to make sure that the puppet can be seen. And that's why
Oh,
it says a lot of physicalness, and you really have to hold it up, hold your puppet up and everything
okay.
so they can see. Like I know in cases of going to daycare centers, the children are sitting on the floor. Now, if I
Right.
have my stage up, then we have to make sure backstage they can see the puppet because they're little and they're sitting on the floor.
Right.
So anyway, but if I'm doing a story that I might come out and sit down with them with the puppet, then that's different because I'll just get a chair and come out and we'll do like a circle or something, and then I tell the story and use the puppet.
Okay. So I see that you're a member of the Atlanta Center for Puppetry Arts also. What has that
Hmm.
experience been like?
Now, they okay. Well, at the Center for Puppetry Arts, as a member, you can receive discounts on everything that they have. Say now they have, and you asked me about where do I get the puppets that I
Right.
use from.
Yeah.
They have like a souvenir store in their center, and this center is located off of Spring and 14th Street, I believe. And
I've
when you
seen that.
go in, and you've seen it, okay.
Yes,
So
I've seen
anyway, as a member, you get discounts on purchasing puppets and maybe prop material, whatever they have in there that's available.
it. Okay.
Also, you as a member, you receive discounts on um, events that they may have, shows, because they do a lot of show. I'm not sure if they're doing them now because of COVID,
COVID, right.
but they would have a lot of special events and shows. Also workshops, because you asked about workshops, and I did remember attending a workshop some years ago. They have to sometimes the workshops are facilitated by the employees that are there, but then they might get somebody, you know, from the outside. Or I remember one year, even though I didn't attend the workshop, they had somebody representing the Jim Henson regime or something. I don't
Okay.
know who he was, but anyway, for the Muppets.
For the
So,
month.
and then, also you taught how in the workshops, you taught how to make puppets and everything. That's the other thing. And then, of course, they had one event where it was like a meet and greet, but that was like an annual event.
Okay.
And this is where you would get a chance to, and it was a dressy affair too. Everybody wore, the men wore the tux and the ladies wore the gowns, and everybody was all dressy and stuff. And from
Okay.
they sipped champagne and had snacks and refreshments and things. And
Okay.
but it was a way of networking with other people that are in the puppetry industry. They may have had special guests or something. But those are the kind of opportunities and benefits that you receive as a member of the Center for Puppetry Arts.
Okay. And so are you still a member there?
I'm going to renew my membership now that you have mentioned that. It's been
Okay.
a while, but I think the COVID had, because I was going to do it, and I'm quite sure it's still a way to do that without
Yeah.
actually having to go into the place, because that was my excuse to just renew. When I knew I had to renew my membership, I would just, make a visit over there and just pay my membership fee, and then walk into the souvenir store and see what was available, what to buy with puppets, and find out what kind of programs are going on. But yeah, I do need to. I think my renewal time is right around the corner. So anyway, I'm going to check into that. But it's a good investment. It has some great benefits.
Okay. And so is puppetry, is it still like a big thing? I mean, I know it's still a thing because you do it, but is it still big? Does it still pull in a large audience?
I believe it is so. I mentioned when I mentioned Sesame Street earlier,
Right.
and I mentioned the Muppets. So I believe that I would say yes, it is. Because
Okay.
that's a big franchise, and it has a universal appeal to everybody. And even there's a movie out now about the Muppets or something, and you see all of the, even when they were on television regularly, which I'm quite sure they still are. Um, they would always have, where they worked with the adults in their ensemble, but they usually would have celebrity guests on there. And for that, there's an appeal with the actor or the actress or the celebrity to,
Right.
want to be involved in that process, because what's happening is that puppetry is actually a tool, a teaching tool for youth, and it's
Right.
also very healing for people. Sometimes we don't realize, especially in the creative artistry industry, how people can be affected, by performances. And with puppets, especially, I have seen where the shows bring smiles to people's faces, whether they're youth or adults or whoever. It just,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm gonna say yes. It's still a major factor in the entertainment, maybe more so now than it ever was.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
interesting. So in 2010, you started your own production company called Kenny and Friends. So tell
Right.
us a little bit about that and how that came about.
Okay. Well, what happened was, as I believe I mentioned earlier, um, I retired from the Atlanta Fulton Public Library system in 2008.
Okay.
And one of the things, since I was had the passion and was already um, doing creative artistry in the church, and just sometimes helping out the library, I decided that, well, this is what I would like to do, because I had met so many other people,
Right.
storytellers, puppeteers, in the creative artistry industry. And so that made me think about how I would want to spend my time as a retiree, because basically when I was still working, the what I was doing at the Hillside Church was actually a part of. Sometime I would come in early in the morning. If I had a show to do on that Sunday, I would come in earlier before we opened up, and I maybe would get a script together or whatever materials. And sometimes I would maybe stay late or something, or go on the weekends. So when I thought about it, I said, well, hey, now that I'm making this next step on my journey as a retiree, this is something I would like to do, because I've seen others do it, and I know others have done it for a living. So when I retired, I went over to our Fulton County government, and
Okay.
I registered as a creative artist vendor. Now, Fulton County has several vendorships and everything for business. the one that I registered under, it didn't take a lot of effort. I just went over and the person that assisted me, we got on the computer and I gave all my information and I was in. And so as a
Okay.
vendor, what um, what I would do is I was booked for a performance, then I would get compensated for that performance. All I had to do was just it was if it was at a library or if it was at a school or church or something, I would have to fill out some paperwork to get compensated and let
Right.
Fulton County know this is where I went to perform and everything. So the Kenny and Friends just came as a result of what to call myself. It's like, okay, what am I going to call myself? What are children? What type of show? Because I know other performers do it as well. They call
Yeah.
themselves something. So I was trying to think of a name, and so one day I came up with well, the Mr. Kenny part because a lot of people would always look at me and refer to me as Mr. Rogers. So I said, I'll tell you what. I said I will go ahead and call myself Mr. Kenny, and these wonderful puppets that I have around me will be my friends. And so that's how Kenny and Friends became
Okay.
in 2010.
Well,
Just
look,
going out performing in various places.
let me say this. I
Mhm.
was a huge fan of Mr. Rogers. Okay. And
Yeah,
so
me too.
if you can be the black Mr. Rogers, that'd be great.
Okay. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Or Mr.
Yeah,
Kenny, as you
it's all
said.
about because he and I know they did a movie about him, but I know
Yeah, they
during
did.
his time on this earth plane, the shows that he did were they were very educational and
Yes.
entertaining.
Yeah.
But as I said once again about when we were talking about puppetry and what Mr. Rogers did as well as the ones before him, they did it. They were genuine about it, and they were very inspiring and encouraging, and they were very healing too. Because like I say, you don't know who's out there, watching you perform,
Right.
and when you just sit and just take it all in, it's like that has given you a lift in some capacity.
Right. And speaking to what you said about, some of the shows and things being healing and concerning Mr. Rogers,
Hmm.
one of the most fascinating things I learned about him probably 2 years ago was that he was very instrumental when it came to things on race relations. He had
Right.
a very
Absolutely.
controversial scene that almost got his show canceled. I think it was in the
Hmm.
late 70s or early 80s,
Oh
where
wow.
he had a black police officer on the show. And
Hmm.
he had a scene where he and the black officer put their feet in a kiddie pool together.
Okay.
And because he was trying to show that, black people and white people can get along and do things together.
Okay.
And that
Hmm.
scene was so controversial for his show because people were so upset that a black
Hmm.
man and a white man put their feet in the same kiddie pool. It wasn't even a regular pool, it was one of those little plastic circular kiddie pools.
Right.
They were
Uh-huh.
sitting in chairs and they just put their
Absolutely.
feet in there together and they were having a conversation about something. And
Hmm.
I'm amazed at the fact that people wanted to cancel this very great educational show
Right.
because of something
Hmm.
like that. But then I remember I'm living in America, spelled with three K's,
Yes, absolutely.
and then that makes
But
sense to me.
that's another thing too about what we do as creative artists. We do have to keep up with the times and also address them as well.
Yes,
Things that are happening now, we have to uh, address these things through the material that we present.
right.
So it's gonna always, like I said, with the puppetry, it's always gonna be a universal thing with people.
Right.
You
And
know,
to your point of keeping up with the issues, current issues, I
mhm,
know on Sesame Street they had created a puppet whose parents were going through a divorce. And so
divorce,
they presented
absolutely.
that,
Hmm.
as a
Yeah.
storyline. And then they created
Hmm.
another puppet. I want to say it was a special needs puppet. I want to say it was specifically Down syndrome.
Hmm.
So they
Hmm.
created a Down syndrome puppet, just to be more inclusive. you know,
Okay.
and to broaden their audience. So to your point, you know, puppetry, these shows and things like that, they can be very healing for a lot of people.
Yes.
So keep up the great work,
Mhm.
sir. So I
Thank
also
you.
see that you're a mascot actor. So you could
Okay.
kind of
All right. Well, we're
explain what a
getting to that
mascot
now.
actor is. Oh yeah, I'm
We're getting
interested.
to that. All right. Well, now, during the times, and I did it after retirement as well. The library has uh, a Goodwill ambassador mascot, and his name is Rocky the Reading Raccoon. Now, Rocky's sole purpose uh, was to appear at all of the special events that the library will have. Sometimes it would be a groundbreaking ceremony for a
Okay.
library branch, or it
Okay.
could be an opening for a library branch, or it could be something else that's special that the library was special activities.
Okay.
And he wore a T-shirt that had the library logo on it. And like I say, he could be seen in any of the events. Now, Rocky didn't do anything, but he was one of those mascots that did not speak or talk or do anything,
Okay.
but he could wave. He was very friendly. He would just do the wave,
Okay.
and that was it. And that's it. Um, so I volunteered as Rocky. Several times during when I was, and that's what made me interested in mascot acting too, because it was something about getting in the costume that I just, it was another, going into that arena acting again.
Right.
It's being somebody else or something else. In other words, whatever
Mhm.
that is, it's like, okay, just for about 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, I can be this character, and everything, and pump up everybody or make them
Right.
laugh or just whatever, and just have a good time. So Rocky was just the greeter,
Okay.
the waver.
Now, let me ask you this.
Mhm,
Do
mhm.
you know anyone that makes mascots? And I'm asking because I want to create an anti-bullying mascot for my anti-bullying program.
Oh wow.
So you know someone that creates the mascots?
I don't. That would be something to find out. Now, just as a point of reference, there's a place in Midtown called Costumes, Etc.
What is it
And
called again?
we
What is it
talked
called again?
about costumes, etc.
Costumes, etc.
Costumes, etc.
Okay.
etc. Period.
Okay.
And like I said, I don't know, and who knows? They may have people, or I've never known anybody that actually made um, their own costuming for mascots. It
Okay.
is something to look into, something we could do ourselves.
Right.
But Costume Etc., they have an array of costumes, and it's one of the stores that I have frequent to whenever there was a performance and everything. So you may could find something in there, or even as a point of reference, ask the employees in there. Right now, they're only taking appointments due to COVID. So
Okay.
the last time I went out there, I had to make an appointment and go out there, and there was only maybe like 2 employees in the store. But you can find out lots of things from the employees about what you want to do. And this place, I don't have the numerical address, uh, but I can tell you in the audience that Costumes Etc. is in the Midtown area on
Okay.
Faulkner Road, off of Faulkner Road.
Faulkner.
It's
I know where that
kind of
is.
like
All right.
going in the Cheshire Bridge area.
Yep. Yep. All right. I will look into that, sir. Thank you very
So I
much.
think that was the plug for them too.
That's
um,
that's all right.
if
Um,
y'all are listening out there, Costume Etc. folks.
right. For the third time. So Thank you for that, Mr. Green. We have about 10
Mhm.
minutes or so left in the show, so I want to get into your other two organizations, Kuumba
Okay.
Storytellers of Georgia and
All
Klg
right.
Productions. To my listening audience, you are listening to the new WCEG Network. You can follow us on all social media sites, and make sure you go to YouTube and search WCEG Network and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. So, Mr. Green, what is the Kuumba Storytellers of Georgia?
Well, the Kuumba Storytellers of Georgia are people, men and women from all walks of life.
Okay.
And just to give you its origin, in 1995, there were several of the storytellers in Kuumba that were founders and people that were in it that were attending some storytelling festivals here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And they thought for each year they attended the festivals, they said, well, okay, we need to start something of our own. Let's get together and start something of our own. And that's how Kuumba came together in 95. And we are in a national, we're in the affiliate of what we call NABS, but NABS stands for the National Association of Black Storytellers. And the
Okay.
National Association of Black Storytellers is a nationwide organization of storytellers from all over the United States. So each year, what our organization do, Kuumba, is that we attend the NABS convention somewhere in the United States, and we
Okay.
get an opportunity to fellowship and meet and greet with others and network with other tellers. And there are performances and a lot of things going on with that. And by the way, Kuumba, I did mention 1985 that Kuumba began. So
Okay.
last year, in December, we celebrated 20 years, 25 years of Kuumba.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
celebrated
Congratulations.
25 years. Thank you. Telling it well in the ATL. That's our
Isn't it
slogan. That's our motto.
well? The
Yeah.
18? Yeah, I like that. That's cute. I like that. That's cute. So and you said the name originates from where?
Oh, okay. The name Kuumba is actually an African word which means creativity
Kahumba is a
and African Swahili.
African Swahili. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. And actually, just to take it a little bit further, Kuumba, well, Kuumba means creativity, as I said, but it is one of the 7 Kwanzaa principles
Yes, sir.
that it's a cultural celebration, and which, of course, we here in this United States, we celebrate Kwanzaa uh, each year, annual, December the 27th, the 26th rather, to January the 1st. So it's like 7 days. And like I said, Kwanzaa is one of the 7.
Yes, it is. I just started. Well, this past year I just celebrated Kwanzaa for the first time. Um, just a small, just learning, get to learn the celebration and how it works. And then
Yes.
this coming year, I didn't even know it was a full. What's the word am I looking for? It's a whole process, production, really. You know that you
Okay. Yes, it
do
is.
daily, and at the end of the week, you have a culmination celebration
Mm-hmm.
where you eat
Yes.
and celebrate it with friends and family and stuff like that. So I didn't realize how big it was
Mm-hmm.
until I really started getting into it this past year. So I'm looking forward to learning more about it and getting more
Mm-hmm.
into that cultural side of
Yes.
celebration.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's very important. And we always say that Kwanzaa is not just um, a celebration that is celebrated once a year, every day, because if you look at the principles, each of the principles represents unity and in our community
Yes,
togetherness. So if you
yes,
look at each of those principles, then you'll see something that can be used each and every day.
you're right. You're absolutely correct.
Mhm.
And do you all have any special events that's coming up? You know, we're in Black History Month. I got a Black
Right.
History program coming up.
Hmm. Well, we do have we do have our Black Historical Portraits program
Okay.
that is coming up on Sunday, February 28th, from 3 to 5 p.m. And of course, for everybody out there, it will be virtual. This will be our first Black Historical Portraits program on virtual Zoom. The theme for this year is unknown, untold, and unsung.
Okay.
And this is one of our Kuumba Storyteller of Georgia's signature events.
Okay.
The cost of the program is $20, and since it is virtual, I just want to give everybody the website where you can go on to register.
Please do.
You can go to now. This is the website, everybody. This is um, Kuumba Storytellers of Georgia website is www.kuumbastorytellers.org. I'll say that again. It's www.kuumbastorytellers.org. And when you go to the website, you look for the link to click on and register. We have 6 awesome performers waiting to perform for everybody. It's going to be an awesome program, and it
Oh,
always is.
okay. So that's February, to reiterate
Uh,
this, February
yes,
28th,
it's
3 to 5 p.m.
Sunday, this coming Sunday,
Mhm.
February 28th,
The Black Historical
from
Portraits program.
3 to 5 p.m. And it's called our Black Historical Portraits program. And the theme this year is called Unknown, Untold, and Unsung. And if
Okay.
anybody out there is wondering what that is, you're gonna have to click tune in to find out.
You're gonna have to drop them $20 and
And
find.
get to find out. Absolutely.
And so the website again is
Oh,
kuumbastorytellers.org. And Kuumba is spelled Kuumba storytellers.org. K
.org. Correct. That's correct.
Kuumba storytellers.org.
Storytellers.org. Mhm.
Storytellers.org. Thank you very much for that, sir. And is Kuumba just for adults or do they have a youth division also?
Oh, we do have a youth division, which is called the Tattletales. I lovingly call the Tattletales our junior Kuumba storytellers of Georgia,
Okay.
and their ages range from 4 to 18 years old.
Oh, okay.
And they were founded. The Tattletales were founded in 2010, and they received, just like with all of us as adults in Kuumba, we have the professional development workshops, and the youth in Tattletales receive professional development workshops also as well. And
Okay.
anyone that's interested in having their children to join Tattletales can join for $20 annually. That's the annual fee for joining Tattletale. Oh, by the way, I just want to skip back to something with the adults in the Kuumba Storytellers of Georgia. Our
Mhm.
annual membership fee is $35 annually.
Yes. And do you have any new members that you'd like to mention?
Yes. Well, we have. Yes. Look who's pointing. Yes. We are so glad to have you, and we did get at least about my number is correct. We had about somewhere between 68 that joined
Okay.
between 2020 and this year.
Yes.
So we're really glad to have them. Um, with us, have you with us as well,
Yes.
because we're a group that, as the Dane Uma says, creativity, and these are people from all walks. We have one lady in our group who's a singer,
Okay.
and when you have a group of teachers and clergymen and housewives and house husbands and actors and actresses and anybody else that come in, there's your
Yeah.
creativity right there, because everybody has a story to tell.
Correct. Correct.
Hmm.
Well, I'm very excited and I'm looking forward to it. I just had my training with Miss Bailey yesterday, my first
Oh,
training.
wonderful.
So I'm very excited
Yay.
to be moving forward with this new
Hmm.
organization. So thank you.
We're so glad to have you. We are,
Yes,
and we're really looking forward to one day. I think I heard you say earlier about this virtual stuff. It's like I feel that it's good. It has this reaching distance, but
right.
then nothing takes the place of live productions. Nothing.
Absolutely
There's an
nothing.
energy in it that can't be matched.
An enjoyable energy, as you mentioned
An
earlier.
enjoyable energy. Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so we have about 4 minutes to talk about KLG Productions real quick. So
Okay.
please tell the
All right.
listening audience what KLG Productions is and tell us about the variety showcase that you were gonna have last year where I met you.
Okay. Well, KLG Productions is a production that, it encompasses everything that we talked about today. It
Mhm.
encompasses my Kenny and Friends, the
Okay.
storytelling, the puppeteers. It's everything. So when I go out or when I present something, then everything that an audience would see is representative of KLG
Okay.
production. It's
Okay.
everything. I've been doing this for, along with what I did as a creative artist director in the church and all the other things I've done in the library. That's about maybe over 30 years.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. We
Sounds like
we in KLG Productions, we bring stories to life, by the way, through talented artists.
okay. And tell us about the showcase that you were gonna have last year.
Okay. Well, last year we were going to present a variety showcase back in April of 2020, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And the showcase consists of talented youth. What I did was, at working with it through the years, we had like an age range of 5 to 17 years. But my crew and I talked about it in production, and we said, well, let's extend that a little bit, somewhat. So we extended the age to 17 plus, and that's where you came in because we were
Right. Yeah.
having the auditions, and you came in for one of our auditions.
Correct.
And so these are creative artists in all those age ranges I just mentioned. Uh, uh, we have music, we have song and dance, we have spoken word, rap. There are some skits that are done, and
Okay.
we have instrumentalists as well.
Okay.
So that is what the variety showcase is all
Yes. So why?
about. Is wide variety. Absolutely, absolutely.
I love it. I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to when we can get back to working on that again. I know you mentioned to me before that we may try to do it virtually in September. Is that still a tentative plan?
It's a vision that I have. I
Okay.
know, to be honest, the virtual, with my exposure to it, even just like being on today, it is a learning experience. And with Kuumba, we're doing virtual now, and even in our meetings and everything. To do it is a process that will have to be learned and everything, and that's where I would probably call all hands on deck in order for me to know how to know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but that is a vision. So,
Okay.
as someone said on the radio, intermission is over. It's time for us to rise from the ashes and get back out there.
Rise from the ashes like the mighty phoenix. I am with you.
Yeah.
So we will put that
Yes.
show together, you and I, in either whether it's in person or virtual. We're gonna make it work, sir.
Virtual.
Okay.
Okay. Oh,
I'm looking
great.
forward to it. So last question for you. Last two really. Tell the people
Mhm.
why it's important for you to work with the youth in the community, and then after that, you can give people how they can.
Well, okay. It's important because it's just a sense of giving back. It's like when I mentioned earlier about my passion for theater and my interest, and how when I was coming along, there were adults that really cared about molding you and showing you positive things and everything. So I just felt, once I started working in this capacity, I would see other youth, and I said, well, yeah, working with them, I want to help them to grow and develop in this area. And
Yes.
it encompasses other things too, because in working with the showcases and youth, we don't know what the family situations are like or who are receiving. So what
Right.
happens is it ends up that, you know, there's a healing process and there's encouragement. I've had um, youth to work with me that have actually just been in some capacities of entertainment, of acting, of singing, or whatever. I've received letters and notations that, well, Mr. Green, this is what I'm doing now. And it was all because we were in one of your plays, or I saw a puppet show or something. So I
Right.
was glad to encourage them in, you know, some capacity.
Yes, it's always good to do that to encourage and motivate the youth so they can discover their greatness too. So thank you, Mr. Green, for your greatness and your contributions to the community. Appreciate it. Thank you for coming on my show, Conversations in Education. My producer says she really enjoyed hearing you. I enjoyed it. And let me tell you this, like I mentioned earlier, I've been intrigued about puppetry. And I think I even might
Mhm.
want to foray into that area if you're willing to teach me that, just
Okay.
to
Oh,
expand
sure.
my horizons just a little bit more in another avenue that I could use to communicate and get through the youth. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to working with you, sir.
All right.
Thank you for being here today. And with that, we're going to get ready to close our show, but I can't do that before I shout out my Scholar of the Week. Okay, today my Scholar of the Week goes to Mr. Hart Wilson. Mr. Wilson is an 11-year-old entrepreneur. He created his business from the heart, from the ground up after a trip to Howard University at the age of 6. Uh, Mr. Hart Wilson says, I got on the internet and saw that people were making different things to sell and earn money, and I sold it on candles. My parents and I watched YouTube videos and started experimenting with making candles, and we figured it all out, and that's when it all started. He also began selling wax melts and fragrances for the car, and before he knew it, his company was a hot commodity. And why is Mr. Wilson doing all this? For Mr. Wilson, his main goal is still to fund his college education and make his dreams of attending Howard University come true. So shout out to Mr. Hart Wilson for being an entrepreneur. The only thing I have to correct him on is you should probably go to FAMU, Mr. Wilson, real HBCU. But to any Howard University alum out there listening, you know, no offense. But thank you, Mr. Green. Thank you to my producer and
Thank you.
my new assistant, Miss Vivian. Thank you. And thank you to the listening audience for being here. We truly appreciate you. Without you, there would be no us. And tune in next month. We'll have another great show for you. And Mr. Green, again, kudos to you. And thank you for all your years and years of service, not only to the community, but to the youth in our community. So thank you, sir. And we will see you next month in March. All right.
Okay.
Peace
All
and
right.
blessings. Y'all take care. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Adios, amigos.